In this quiet hour, the lake seemed to hold its breath, as if the world itself had paused to watch something delicate, something rare. And there, at the water's edge, where the last of the sunlight danced on the ripples like liquid fire, stood a woman, a figure so at peace with her surroundings, she seemed not of this time, but of another, older world. Her dark hair, untamed and flowing, blended into the dimming air, and her form, draped in layers of fabric that whispered of long-forgotten eras, was barely distinguishable from the shadows around her.
I first saw her by the lake, just as the sun was pulling itself below the trees, leaving a line of fire along the water's edge. She was standing there, barely moving, her gaze fixed on something distant that I couldn't see. Dark waves of hair flowed down her back, blending with the dusk, and her figure was wrapped in layers of fabric that looked like they'd come from a time long before mine. I don't know what made me stop. Maybe it was the way she stood, so still, as if she were part of the landscape. Or maybe it was the way the light seemed to wrap around her, like it was reluctant to let her fade with the rest of the world. I stood there, hidden in the trees, feeling like an intruder in a moment that wasn't meant to be observed. As I watched, she pulled a small, leather-bound book from her side. It was worn and softened by use, a patchwork of scrawled notes visible along the edges. She opened it carefully, as if it were something sacred, and let her fingers drift across a page. Her expression softened, a faint smile crossing her lips, and she started to write. Her pen moved slowly, deliberately, like each word was a piece of something bigger. I felt an urge to speak, to know what she was writing, to ask her why she was here, but something held me back. It wasn't just that she looked like she belonged there, like part of the forest itself. It was something else, an aura, almost. The feeling that she was deep within a story only she could tell. The wind picked up, stirring leaves into little eddies around her feet. She looked up suddenly, as if sensing something beyond me, and for a moment, our eyes met. Her gaze was calm but intense, like she was looking not at me, but through me, peeling back the layers of who I thought I was. I don't know how long we held that gaze, but eventually, she turned back to her book and scribbled something quickly, her hand moving faster, as though capturing something fleeting. Then, just as quietly, she closed the book, tucked it under her arm, and began to walk away. I stayed rooted to the spot, watching her figure blend into the shadows until the darkness swallowed her completely. The lake settled back into silence, and the world felt strangely empty, like something rare and vital had just slipped through my fingers. I never did approach her, never asked her name, but I went back to that lake every evening after, searching the shore for even a glimpse of her shadow. And every night, I would leave feeling like I'd come just a little closer to understanding something I couldn't quite grasp, something I was sure only she knew.
There's a mist rolling in on the midnight breeze, through the trees like a ghost unseen. She stands by the water where the shadows lie, with secrets she guards, just a look in her eyes. She's the echo of a story that the wind won't tell, with a heart like the ocean, deep into a well. She's a fire in the darkness, the calm in the night, a mystery I'm chasing, fading out of sight. The weather clothes with that crystal shine, she's a healer of souls, crossing lines through time. I feel her strength in the quiet she keeps, a whisper that haunts every one of my dreams. She's the echo of a story that the wind won't tell, with a heart like the ocean, deep as a well. She's a fire in the darkness, the calm in the night, a mystery I'm chasing, fading out of sight. Somewhere between here and yesterday, she calls me to follow, but she drifts away. She's a flicker of light in the forest so wide. She's a part of the shadows, just out of sight. She's the echo of a story that the wind won't tell, with a heart like the ocean, deep into a well. She's a fire in the darkness, the calm in the night, a mystery I'm chasing,